Now at 6, a line of storms makes its way into the area. Meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney will tell us what we can expect. Plus, authorities bring charges against a suspect involved in an exchange of gunfire in Miami. And a tasty event in Joplin cooks up some funds to support a Boy Scout troop.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Severe weather threatens much of the 4 states this evening. We're already getting reports now of water over roads in Montgomery, Woodson, and Allen counties in Kansas. Soon that storm is going to impact all of us. This is KOAM News at 6. I'm Dow Quick. Let's go straight to meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney tracking the storms.
Well, so far we've got our flood watch for all of us because we have seen so much rainfall dumped in some of these storms. And then, like Dow said, we also have Allen County, Woodson, and Wilson County under flood warnings. In addition to that, we're also under a severe thunderstorm watch that's also for Kansas and Oklahoma counties. Now, just to the south of us, they're under a tornado watch because of the storms that are developing ahead of the front. Now, luckily, our cold front moved in ahead or a little quicker than the southern part of this cold front did, and we didn't get a lot of development ahead of that front where we would see the greatest instability. So right now we're just looking at that straight line wind threat, maybe again some spin up tornadoes, but mainly just that straight line wind threat and hail threat along this line. Now you can see, taking a look a little further south, that cold front drapes just through Oklahoma City. So all of these clusters of thunderstorms that pop up ahead of the front have that ability to spin and rotate, causing, they have now 4 tornado warnings. So we're looking pretty good in our area. Like I said, that cold front is right along the storm line that we see, so we aren't seeing any development ahead of it. We are going to have clouds and thunderstorms moving in here in the next hour, especially on the Pittsburgh side. They've already seen a little bit of rain. They've got a couple of these mini supercells that want to fire up, but nothing too severe right now until that main line comes in. Same in Joplin. They've been dry for the rest of this, or the early half of this evening. Now, over the next hour to hour and a half, this main line of storms really organizes. Once it gets into that Pittsburgh area, Oswego, Columbus, it'll continue to shift further south down to Miami, Veneta, and then getting closer to the Joplin Metro, Carl Junction, Lamar. As it pushes out, this is about 10 p.m., finally making it past the Joplin Metro and then clearing out by about 11 p.m. But I'm going to have all those details coming up.
See you soon. Federal assistance might soon be on its way to southwest Missouri following last month's severe storm damage. Today, Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe announced that FEMA will participate in preliminary damage assessments and response costs in 5 Missouri counties. Those are Dade, Douglas, Ozark, Vernon, and Webster counties. The storms brought damaging straight line winds, excessive rain, large hail, and flooding damage from May 23rd through May 26th. Additional counties might be added as damage information is received from local officials. He's still in the hospital, but authorities today formally charged this man who was shot in an exchange of gunfire with Miami, Oklahoma police on Saturday. Charges against 25-year-old Michael Cook III are discharging a firearm into a dwelling, 2 counts of shooting with intent to kill, and feloniously pointing a firearm. Police say Cook fired into the Mia Bella Italian restaurant from outside, trying to force his way in. They say when they confronted him, he opened fire and ran. Gunfire broke out again in the area of a nearby Arby's. Cook was shot, taken into custody, and flown to a Tulsa hospital in critical condition, and that's where he remains tonight. The investigation continues into the cause of a deadly home explosion caught on Ring camera. The explosion killed 1 person and a dog in a Kansas City suburb over the weekend. The area was later secured after adjacent homes were evacuated. Ring camera footage from Ashley Tomlin shows debris flying through the air after the single-family home exploded. Family members confirmed 86-year-old Richard Adams Sr. died in that explosion. The Missouri State Fire Marshal's office is leading that investigation. Help for the Boy Scouts came in the form of a tasty fundraiser today in Joplin. The First Presbyterian Church on Pearl Street cooked up the fundraiser to benefit Boy Scout Troop 10. For $10, visitors could grab a burger, hot dog, baked beans, and some chips. The money will go to help pay for the cost of camping gear for the Scouts. Joplin School District incoming sixth graders got to visit some special guests with wagging tails at the public training facility in Joplin. The program, part of the JPD Kids Academy, gives students the chance to learn about the vital role canines play in law enforcement. Also gives them a closer look at what it means to serve and protect. It's all part of an effort to inspire young minds to start thinking of what they want to be when they grow up. Coming up, the impact of a smaller police presence in one southeast Kansas community.
After a series of staff changes, community members in Girard have concerns about the current state of their police department. I'm Samantha Walker, and I'll have that story coming up.
Some Girard, Kansas residents have concerns about the current state of the town's police department. The department has seen several officers step down in recent months. In May, the former police chief, Sierra Roberts, resigned. She's since taken a position at the Crawford County Sheriff's Office. KOIM Samantha Walker has more on how it's drawn questions about what staffing the city currently has.
I get out in the evenings and drive around a lot, and it's been 2 months since I saw any Girard police, at least.
The staffing of the Girard Police Department, or the lack thereof, is something one business owner became very aware of when her restaurant was broken into in May. She was left surprised by who ended up coming to help.
It was the sheriff, not the local, anybody local. Well, not our local police department anyway. I knew we were short on police officers. I guess at the time, I guess we didn't have anybody working for the Girard department.
Girard residents say they've noticed the sheriff's department having to respond to more calls in the area in the past couple of months. Residents say they've also noticed an uptick in local crime.
We've been here in business, it'll be 38 years in November. We've never ever had any break-ins, never had any trouble at all. But since there's no police, it seems like it's just really gone downhill for the town.
I spoke with the mayor of Girard, who says the city appointed a chief of police about halfway through May. That chief of police is Jesse Snyder. He also says currently on staff is one patrolman, and they have another one who is onboarding and needs to get sent off to academy. He says ideally they would have 5 patrolmen alongside the chief of police as their full staff. In a statement to KOAM, the Girard city administrator adds the city leaders plan to hire another patrolman, as well as an assistant chief within city council meetings this month.
Hope they get everything solved and get the crime rate under control again. That makes me kind of nervous now to come out here by myself. I mean, I never even thought much about it, but now when I come in, I'm like, okay.
Girard residents that we spoke with say they believe officer pay is one reason the department is struggling to stay staffed. The mayor of Girard says earlier this year, city council adopted new pay scales and retention pay for the police department to try and encourage officers to stay. Girard city leaders say during this transitional period, the Crawford County Sheriff's Department has been helping with their law enforcement needs. This includes an agreement for overnight coverage. But for residents, it's not a permanent fix.
The county, they're always real busy. They have a lot of calls too, and they just might not have time to deal with these silly little things that happen around here. We need a police.
Reporting in Girard, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Now, as KOIM spoke with the Girard residents, another concern brought up was about city staffing struggles of other first responders, including at the fire department. Residents say they hope more competitive pay will encourage employees to stay in Girard. A little bit later, the Cards and Royals renew their cross-state rivalry. Reporter Ben McLeish is going to take a closer look.
And we have storms in the area tracking through the rest of the night. I'll have those details coming up. Well, we've been watching a line of storms trying to push in for the last several hours, starting to make its way into southeastern Kansas. Now, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in the area on the Kansas and Oklahoma side. We're also under a couple of flood warnings in Allen County, Woodson County, and Wilson County, so you can see up in those northwestern counties. That's where we've seen just training storms, and this line of storms just been sitting over that area through most of the first half of the afternoon. Now, we have a couple of storms wanting to fire up ahead of this main line, and that's where we're going to see the largest threat for severe weather. But as of right now, we're still looking at this main line being the strongest part of what our area is going to see. But push a little further south, we've got down south of Tulsa out to Oklahoma City. A lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, up to 4 tornado warnings, and I believe 2 have been on the ground because they've seen quite a few of these isolated storms pushing in ahead of that main line. So there's our cold front. Now you can see how it lines our storms. But if you go down to Oklahoma City, the storms fire up ahead of it. That's why they got a lot more activity right now. But I do still want to keep an eye on some of these storms. Not a huge threat, and it's pretty close to the main line. So just out to the northwest of Girard, that's where our cold front line is starting to develop. So one little cell getting really close to that. Not going to be a huge threat. And then we've got this other one moving into Lamar. Again, a little bit of lightning, not a huge threat there either, but they're packing a punch with rainfall, just dropping a ton of heavy rain as these storms go by. The main line is the same way. We've got a lot of lightning along that line, straight line winds up to 60 miles per hour, and there is a potential for golf ball sized hail in some of the strongest parts of this line of storms. But then again, we're also seeing just so much rainfall, so a lot of flash flooding and flooding going along as this line pushes further south and east. Now, does organize pretty quickly once it gets further into southeastern Kansas by about 7:30. So in the next hour, gonna start to make it into that Pittsburgh area. We saw how close it is. It's just right outside of Girard, and then getting down to Columbus, Oswego, getting closer to Veneta as well. So that main line pushes in. Again, we could see a couple of spin up tornadoes along this line just because of how strong these winds are coming in opposite directions. But the largest threat is going to be that rainfall, that flash flooding that we've been seeing out in Wichita and in our western counties, and then those straight line winds. Now about 8:30, making it closer to the Joplin Metro, pushing past by about 9:30 to 10 p.m. And then we're getting further south of I-44 down to Cassville, Pineville, and then Bentonville. Now about 11, still seeing a little bit of a Boeing segment, but it does start to weaken. However, it's on its way out, so we're mostly looking at just scattered thunderstorms. Again, still seeing that flooding threat as it passes our area. And then as we head into the overnight Wednesday into Thursday morning, or into Wednesday morning, we are going to see these clusters of thunderstorms, but those are just cold pool storms, meaning they're not going to be a severe threat, but they're just going to add to any flooding risk that we already have seen in the afternoon. Now, taking a look outside downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, we have this aimed because we can kind of see some of that rain starting to push in. Now, this is from those little storms that are just now moving outside of Pittsburgh into the Lamar area, so a little far away north of Carl Junction, but those are going to start to make it into the area soon. Now, this is not our last day of severe weather through this week. This is the first week of June, so we're getting to the tail end of severe weather season, and it's going out with a bang because we have another round coming in Thursday night and into Friday morning in part of the similar area, southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, and into southwestern Missouri as well. Now, today is that alert day due to the storms, but tomorrow we'll have a break. We're going to have mostly cloudy skies, couple of isolated showers, not a huge threat there. But Thursday night and into Friday morning is our next round of severe weather. Hopefully, it'll be our last round of severe weather this season. I think everyone else agrees.
Yeah, let's move into summer. It's about time.
I'm ready for the sunshine.
Thanks, Lindsay. Still ahead, Ben McLeish joins us from St. Louis to preview tonight's battle between the Cardinals and the Royals. And several of our local high school baseball players receive all-state honors. John Dales has those stories and more for us up next in sports.
The Royals and Cardinals meet for the 4th time in the 2025 regular season this evening. KOAM sports reporter Ben McLeish is in St. Louis for the matchup, which has a little added interest with Kansas City's recent roster move.
Just 349 days ago, Jack Caglione was sporting this uniform in the College World Series. Now, after a year of mashing in the minors, he's gotten a call to join his boys in blue on the biggest stage. The Royals' top prospect batted .322 with 15 home runs this year in the minors. Royals fans hope he can be a spark for the offense, which ranks dead last in home runs.
The thing that we've struggled on the most is just generating offense, so if we can get that moving, I think we're going to do really good. But I think his really hard-hitting capabilities, I think that's where he's going to shine the most, if he can transfer it.
Fans think it might have been the perfect time to call up the young slugger.
Exactly what we need right now. I think it was a great time to call him up. Royals definitely needed that extra power. hopefully get a few out of the park.
Less than a month ago, Caglione was still in AA, with hopes of making his major league debut this season. 28 days later, his wish came true.
I mean, obviously, want to debut this year. That'd be probably number one. But I just kind of like to be where my feet are, take it day by day. Look too far into the future, start worrying about it too much, so I just try not to.
Caglione might be just what the Royals need to break out of their slump and get back on track for a playoff push.
He plays the infield, he's got outfield. I think he can fit in right now on this team.
Ben McLeish, KOAM News.
Thanks, Ben. We're a little bit less than 30 minutes away from first pitch at Busch Stadium. Caglione is slated to bat sixth as designated hitter for KC. Cardinals took 2 out of 3 from the Royals in their first series last month. In summer collegiate baseball, the Joplin Outlaws are back in action tonight. They're on the road down in Sherman. It's a matchup of the 2 top teams in the Mid-America League. Outlaws are 7-1. They've got the reigning pitcher of the week, Cole Gaiman. Sherman has the hitter of the week, Drew Sains, and is 8-1. This one gets started in just over a half hour. The high school baseball season in Kansas ended with a couple of our local teams, Fort Scott and Colgan, winning state championships. And this week, players from those and several more of our local teams receive individual all-state honors. In Class 2-1A, Spencer Wade, a senior outfielder for Northeast Arma, is on the first team All-State. His teammate Jaden Wetzel is on the second team as a middle infielder, along with a couple Colgan Panthers, senior pitcher Brady Van Beesler, sophomore outfielder Lane Stoltz. In Class 3A, Girard sophomore Cam Smith, Humboldt senior Logan Page, and Iola senior Grady Doherty are all first-team pitchers. Columbus sophomore Ben Major is on the second team, along with Iola junior Trey Wilson as designated hitter. Receiving honorable mention is another Iola Mustang, outfielder Chase Herman. In Class 4A, the state champions are well represented. Fort Scott seniors Dub Chipman and Lennox Van are on the first team All-State. Chanute junior Chris Harding is on the second team as a utility player. Mikey Ramsey from Parsons receives honorable mention, as do a couple more Fort Scott Tigers, Brady Messer and Cannon Brown. Their head coach, Josh Regan, is the Class 4A Coach of the Year. That's it for sports. We're back.
Here's a look at what's coming up on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. We're going to have the latest on the investigation into a church burglary in Fort Scott. Plus, police in one southwest Missouri city issue a warning about the danger of skimmers, and kids in Joplin get a lesson in law enforcement. Hope you join us for those stories, a lot more. It's coming up tonight, KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. We have the perfect way for you to stay ahead of severe weather. Scan this QR code with your phone and head straight to the updated weather resources page on our website. You can find information on storm shelters, weather updates, closings, road conditions. You can also find tips for watching live streams in real time. It's called the Weather Resource page, KOAMnewsnow.com. The storms are moving into the western part of the area, have been, and now moving more into the heart of the viewing area.
Yes, and they're bringing a lot of rainfall. We've seen so much flooding going on with these storms, winds gusting 50 miles per hour inside of them. If we get any storms popping up ahead of that main line, could get some tornado activity, but right now we're just looking at straight line wind threat and this flooding you can see up in Allen County and Woodson County, and then out towards Wichita and up to Kansas City. So much flooding going on.
Final sports notes.
Over in St. Louis, the Royals and Cardinals get started at 6:45. We'll have more on that game later tonight.
A lot of people interested in that game for both teams.
Yeah.
See you right back here at 10. Be careful out there, and let's make it a great evening.